The 6 officers charged in the death of Freddie Gray will be tried right here in Baltimore. The defense wanted it moved, saying the protests, media coverage, and the city's settlement with the Gray family means they can't get a fair trial. Prosecutors say, we don't know what potential jurors think until we try, and the judge agreed. Jeremy Eldridge with Ian Lawyers is joining us this morning to talk about what came out of that hearing yesterday. Good morning.
Good morning.
So it's rare to move venue. So is it that much of a surprise that this is staying in Baltimore?
I think it's a surprise to a lot of legal experts given the strong direct impact that some of the local law provides for, especially in light of the recent settlement that you mentioned, the fact that there was a curfew, and then all of the pretrial publicity. But in the end, given the public's reaction, it's not that big a surprise to the public that it stayed in Baltimore.
So what are the pros and cons of it being here?
The pros are obviously the fact that all of the protesters and a lot of people in the city want it here. They want it as part of the healing process. Unfortunately, that's not the legal standard. So the con is going to be that if any of these officers are convicted after trial, you can bet all of your money on the fact that the first item that they're going to appeal to the Court of Special Appeals is going to be this issue. When you look at all of the high-profile federal cases, Timothy McVeigh, Tsarnaev, all of the issues end up being the venue and whether that judge made the appropriate decision.
There is still room that it could be moved. They're going to try to seat a jury, and they've got to do it 6 different times. What could come up during the screening process for the judge to say, you know what, the pool is tainted, we can't do it here?
Well, I think one of the things that's going to come up by the judge leaving the door open is obviously the possibility to see what's going to happen. But during the voir dire process, you have these very intimate conversations where it's the prosecutor, the defense attorney, the potential juror, and the judge, and they expose perhaps how they were affected during the riots or police misconduct in their own lives. I picked a jury a couple months ago where it took us 5 days to pick a jury. It had nothing to do with Freddie Gray, and it was due to some of these issues, police misconduct, violent crime, and how it affected their lives.
What's the likelihood that these trials will not start on October 13th?
Well, I think the real glaring issue is what happened in the afternoon. There was a lengthy discussion about whether the state, in fact, turned over their investigation, their independent investigation. And at this point, they've turned over, from what I've heard, a very, very limited amount of information. So if they did an investigation, it seems to be not a very lengthy one, and the defense attorneys are fighting tooth and nail to find out what else is there. And if it hasn't been turned over, it might delay the trials, because obviously, as a lawyer, I would never want my client sitting next to me at a trial table without all of the evidence.
Are the defense attorneys at any disadvantage if and when this does go to trial in Baltimore for jurors that said, hey, you all said we couldn't be fair? I mean, is there any disadvantage there at all, or is that all water under the bridge once you find an impartial juror?
I don't think it's water under the bridge at all. If I'm a defense attorney, I'm reeling after yesterday, and I'm going to try again to convince Judge Williams that there's improper venue here. You know, when you look, having a small business in the city, me being in the courts every day, you see the direct impact. You see it when you talk to people. You feel it. It's palpable when you go to court. So Judge Williams is a very learned judge and has great experience, has decided that we're going to try. We're going to try to seat this jury in the city, and he feels it's appropriate to do so. But the tension's palpable, and it's going to be re-raised.
I'm sure we haven't heard the end of this. It'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, coming up, an unpleasant change of plans for some